Hi everyone, Jess here. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and today we're going to be talking about plant-based proteins. So one of the most frequently asked questions I get is, am I getting enough protein on a plant-based diet? And I have some good news for you. It's actually not as hard as you might think to get enough protein on your plate while you're eating plant-based, but there's definitely some tips and tricks you need to be aware of in order to make sure you are getting enough protein on your plate. So today we're going to talk about 3 tips on how to make sure you are hitting your recommended protein intake for the day. So tip number 1 is making sure you eat a concentrated source of protein at every meal. So what I mean by this is concentrated sources of protein include things like organic soy food, and some examples of that include tempeh, tofu, or edamame. Beans and legumes are also another concentrated source of protein. And if you really struggle with beans and legumes, start with a smaller amount of them and give your body the chance to really build up to eating a good dose of them. Or you can even play with some easier digestible beans such as lentils or mung beans. The other one on that list is nuts and seeds. So pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashews, they're all equal, and those are all an amazing source of concentrated protein. The one thing you will find that's missing from that list is veggies. So despite me being personally a huge veggie advocate, spinach and broccoli just don't make the cut because you're going to have to eat a huge amount of them in order to actually get a concentrated dose of protein on your plate. So really, tip 1, just really focus on a concentrated source of protein, such as those beautiful organic soy foods, beans and legumes, or nuts and seeds. Tip number 2 is when you are replacing your animal-based protein on your plate with a plant-based protein source on your plate, really make sure that plant-based source of protein is a concentrated source. So what I mean by this is think of that beautiful mushroom burger that you absolutely love. Speaking of that, I'd love to hear which one it is because I love mushroom burgers too, and I'm always looking for a really good one. So comment below and tell me what amazing mushroom burger you have found in your journey. So going back to them, so a beautiful portobello mushroom, it makes an amazing burger because it does sort of mimic the texture of the beef burger or the chicken burger. But the mushroom itself is not a concentrated source of protein. The other example on that kind of spectrum is jackfruit. So again, jackfruit is this really lovely pulled pork kind of texture. So people put that into tacos and anything that might, require sort of a pulled pork sort of substitute. But the problem is jackfruit is so similar to a mushroom where it's not actually a concentrated source of protein. So some ways to sort of beef up, no pun intended, that plant-based protein source on your plate is really think about, having a bean salad next to it or some other source of protein on that plate and not just relying on the pulled pork or the mushroom. And tip number 3. So it was not long ago that we used to think that we actually had to combine different sources of plant-based protein in order to have a complete protein on our plate. The reason why this was the case is because some of the plant-based proteins have smaller amounts of essential amino acids. So we used to put a lot of energy towards making sure, you had rice or beans or peanut butter, and we were combining all these different sources of proteins just to make sure we were eating a complete source at that time. But we definitely do not need to do this, and I would love for you to put your energy now towards actually eating a concentrated source of protein at every meal. If you like this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. And if you now have more questions about soy, I've actually written a whole blog post on soy. So I put the link in the description, so definitely check that out.